You want to live peacefully and happily and stress-free. But what's happening is a lot of governments around the world are adding more and more rules, more and more compliance requirements, and as a result of which you have to keep up with all those things. What you're looking for is a peaceful, calm, happy, and simple life, but with these ever-changing new rules, new requirements, new restrictions, which play a role on your mind, right? So it starts affecting you, it starts bothering you, you're stressed because you have more restrictions. Let's say it's to do with withdrawing your own funds or transferring your own funds or spending your own funds, right? So there are restrictions regarding that. Sometimes there are restrictions or rather rules, new rules which you need to follow, and you don't have the patience or the time to keep up with these ever-changing rules, and all of this is adding unnecessary stress in your life, and you're looking for a place, a country where you can simply move and not have to worry about all these changing rules, regulations, constant restrictions, and all of that. And in certain cases, even the growing anger and violence and all these things. And before we get started, if you're new to my channel, my name is Jay Suresh, and if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe now so you're updated on any new videos, and let's get started. So the topic is not really tax optimization. There are several places for zero taxes and all of that, and you can go there by all means, but again, on paper they are low tax places, and when it comes to actually living there or having a happy life, things could be different. So I'm not going to talk about the absolute pure tax havens or the zero tax countries. That's a separate topic in itself. We can keep that separate. The topic here is a place where you can live a peaceful, happy life, where you could be left alone and you won't be subject to all the unnecessary pressure and tension that comes along with certain countries which are quite aggressive in collecting all the funds that they can get from their citizens. And this is not investment advice or immigration advice or legal advice. This is just my own personal choices, which I would consider given the option. So the first on my list is my favorite, is the Dutch option, which is Netherlands and the Dutch territories. There's several territories like Aruba, Curacao, and then you have the mainland, which is Netherlands. But I absolutely love Amsterdam. It has great connectivity with the rest of the world. It's a peaceful society. People tend to like each other. There's a good vibe. There's a good social, cultural community sense. It's quite peaceful compared to some other options. And the government is pretty stable, so things don't change overnight. There aren't new rules that are cropping up. There aren't a lot of restrictions that suddenly come up. It is what it is, and it's a quite peaceful, nice, loving, a happy society. It's not as fast-paced as some of the other major cities or countries, but it's a relatively well-balanced place where I feel it provides perfect situation for a happy, comfortable life. Now, it's possible to get a residency in the Dutch territory. Eventually, you can work yourself up to the Netherlands. You can start off with one of the Dutch territories. I've covered these options in my previous videos. So you can start off with a residency, and then you can work your way towards the final benefit, which is citizenship, if you are looking for the citizenship benefit. So Netherlands really stands first on my list. It's a rich country. It's a developed country. It's relatively happy. It has good people. It has a lot of safety. So if you can afford it, I think it's a top option to consider, and this is just my personal opinion. The second on my list is Mexico, and yes, you heard it right. I've chosen Mexico because I feel it has bureaucracy. So don't take me wrong, you will face a lot of bureaucracy in the country upfront initially, but once you're through with all the hassle of dealing with all of that, as long as obviously you're being a good citizen. So the stress levels as far as the government putting added pressure on your mind is concerned, I think is relatively low as compared to some of the neighbors in the region. When it comes to the safety, there's a lot of stigma, and a lot of it is hype in certain cases. Again, you have to use common sense, and this safety issue is it's relative, right? So what is more safer than the other? So you have these safety situations going all across the world. You have to use common sense, and as long as you're using common sense, I feel Mexico, the society, the people are laid back, relaxed, it's cheap, you have good food, you have good weather, and the government isn't constantly updating things and running behind you. There are a lot of common sense practices when it comes to freedom and flexibility within the country. And if you read between the lines, you know what I'm talking about. There's a lot of comfort factor. There are a lot of common sense things that you can just do, which the government isn't going to come down, cracking down on you and going crazy. As far as the people, the community sense, I like it. People are very helpful. And if you have with half the budget, you can really live a very good, peaceful, happy life. So let's say you're planning an investment, you want to buy a rental property, maybe you want to live in there, you want to test the waters, and if you don't like it, or in half the time you're living somewhere else, you can always rent out your property, and it can be you can benefit from the rental yields as well as spending time in the country. And who knows, in future you might like to spend more and more time, and that way you can then move permanently. So Mexico also gives you an option to enter with investment. There are multiple options. I've covered a lot of these in my previous videos. And then eventually you can also work yourself up to citizenship if you like being a Mexican citizen in future. So that's the second option. The third on my list is Qatar in the Gulf. And I've considered all the Gulf options and several of the options in the region. I think Qatar is a beautiful country. It's luxurious, it's high quality, so you're getting a lot of positive vibe when you spend your time in Qatar. It's quieter and less, and it's under the radar type of a place. It's well connected. It's one of the most connected places in the world. You have flights flying in and out of Qatar to anywhere and everywhere. So I like that option. The big advantage with Qatar is the taxation. There is no income tax. The one slight negative is you cannot work yourself towards that ultimate goal if you have of getting a citizenship, but you can have your residence, you can do the investment, get your property, and then keep renewing your permit for your lifetime as long as you're holding the property. So you have access, which can be a lifelong access if you wanted to, but you just at this time at least you cannot become a citizen in future because you would not have that option. So Qatar is number 3 on my list for that reason. I think it's a peaceful, and again, when I say peaceful and safe, it's relatively compared to some other option, but I genuinely feel I would love spending my time and living in that country. It's less stress, less unnecessary governmental interference. The community is very nice, very helpful and kind people. So I really enjoy that kind of a vibe and environment given the choice. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Which one is your favorite place to spend time and live? And if you haven't already, subscribe and hit the bell notification so you're notified of any new future videos. And if you want to get started with any of the residency options that I have discussed, click the link in the description, book a call, and we can discuss what can best fit your needs. And until next time, you take care and goodbye.